All right, we got a bunch of Cypress hardwood. We're gonna turn some legs. You might think this is some fine furniture, but no, this is cornhole. All right, here's our inspiration board for this build. I built this a couple years ago, but it's travel size. It's like 18 by 36 inches, not your normal 2 foot by 4 foot. We're gonna change a couple things along the way. One thing that doesn't change is the top. It's gonna be like 7/8 inch thick, like a beefy top. It also has like an overhang. It looks like a coffee table, not like a cornhole board. One thing that will definitely change is the legs. Now these legs look good here, but proportionally on our bigger board, they wouldn't work. I think they also need to be taller. So we're gonna have to redesign our leg. Also, the legs are permanent on this one. We wanna make them detachable. So we gotta figure that out. All right, our Cypress tops are all glued up. Next, we're going to turn to our legs. We also have to do glue up there while that is drying. We're going to do some 3x3 blanks because this is the leg, the design we're going to be making. So it's got to be 11 inches long by 3x3. I've got some 8/4 material. We're just going to skip plane it, glue it all together, and then worry about squaring everything up after the glue dries. Let's get on. We've got our tops in clamps, we've got our legs in clamps. All that's left we can do right now is mill up some skirts. Now, it's gonna be the same process as before, planer, joiner, and we're gonna get some rough material down to be square. We've got 4/4 Cypress, and once we get it to the table saw, we'll cut it into 3-inch strips. which will be its final form, and we can cut some lengths, and then we're on to assembly on the skirt. Still got a long way to go with this stuff, but we're making progress. This is day one. Day one. All right, it's the next day. Our first order of business is we got to get these cornhole tops done. The stain we're using requires 24 hours to dry before we put poly on, so to keep with our deadline, got to get them done. So, how am I going to do it? Sand it so that, you know, track saw can sit flat. Cut the ends. We don't have to cut the width because we'll glue them up at width. And then the ends, we'll do the track saw. Then after that, we got to make our hole. I've got a jig that I made a year or two ago that we'll trace the line, cut it out with the jigsaw, but not too close to the line because we're going to put that jig on and use a router and trim like so it's a perfect circle. Looks good, you know. Let's get on it. Let's do this. And then, you know, after we finish this, we'll jump onto the legs and the skirt and build the rest. We'll see how far we get today. Time to make the holes in our cornhole, and I've got this jig that I made a couple years ago. Now this jig is simply just the right distance from the top of your cornhole to where the hole needs to be. I've got a little center line here that we can make a center line on the board itself and then match it up, make sure it's all flush, and then your jig's ready to go. I'm going to do this a little different in that I'm going to trace a line and then grab the jigsaw, cut out the hole, and then come in with the router and flush trim to this jig. One other thing to keep in mind is if you've got knots or just like an ugly piece of the board, try to, when you're doing your glue up, put it where this hole is so that you can cut it out. I know, super simple, but there are so many times where it's been like, oh, I should have put that board there, you know? The tops are nearly done. All we got to do is do a couple little touch-up things and then sand the hell out of it. So let's get on it, because this is the worst part. Once we're done with this, we're done with this. It's finally time to make the legs. We've got our glued up blank. We're gonna get it squared here on the joiner, and then we'll take it to the planer and plane it down to 3 inches. We're pretty close. After that, chop the ends and get it ready for the lathe. Time for assembly. We've got our skirts. We're going to butt joint them together with pocket screws and some glue. One thing to keep in mind here though, our legs are going to be attached a certain way. We're going to make it detachable, but that means the bolts are going to be running through this back corner. And we don't want to put our pocket screws where some bolts are going to be going through. So we got to keep that in mind. I made a little jig on the laser. Tell us where. So here's our skirt. Here's where the bolts are going to be. So we need to put our pocket screws here. Pretty simple. But hey man, the best of us can mess this up. All right. It only has to be the back rail, by the way, not the front rail. Put your pocket screws wherever you want. We're getting close. We're getting close. We're almost there. Like I said before, we're going to make our legs detachable. And so this is one I've done in the past. These are called threaded inserts. And so we're going to do that same thing on our legs that we turned earlier. Now, I do that with these templates that I make on the laser engraver that measures out where these need to go to still give me a good feel. Pretty simple. Clamp these down, drill some holes. Then there's another one for a little smaller drill bit for our bolts that will drill through our skirts. All right, it's late, but we got it done. Look at this, it is assembled. Look how chunky these legs are. They look awesome. They look real farmhousey to me. Now, you could distress this if you wanted to, stain it, paint it, then sand the edges. I'm a little over that look, but we're just painting it white tomorrow. We got to paint it and poly it and finish everything, attach it all, and deliver it tomorrow. So we need to get some sleep. See you in the morning. Before we get to those final shots, I got a couple questions for you. First, if you like this kind of stuff, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. That's my first question. Second question, what is this thing worth? I've got about $250 in wood, $150 in finishing supplies and other supplies, and then maybe 30 hours of labor. Worth $1,000? Lastly, I want to make the world's nicest cornhole. Now, what materials should I use? What's a crazy thing that you've seen that we could apply to cornhole? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.